Hello my loves, it's Monica and I'm so excited because this is my first video back in my office. I am home back in New York City. I had the most magical summer just running around London and the UK with so many friends, and yeah, I shared a lot of that more on like my Instagram and stuff, so if you aren't following me there, you definitely should. I post a lot of like fashion and beauty and all that kind of stuff there. But yeah, obviously while in London I got up to quite a few book shopping adventures, and I wanted to just share with you all the books that I picked up while I was there. I have quite a few more than I was anticipating, to be so honest. But yeah, without further ado, we're gonna dive on in and talk about the books that I picked up when I was in London. Let's do it. So a couple of these I have already started / finished. So I'll talk about the one that I've already read, and that is Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. And you guys might know that I kind of fell in love with Ann Patchett's writing this year. I just really love the way that she tells stories and the way that she strings words together. I think it's just really beautiful, and I was so enamored by this edition of Tom Lake. I honestly didn't even realize that she had a new book out, and I saw this and it's like one of those like hardback books that doesn't have a dust jacket, and it has a ribbon, and it has the most beautiful end papers. And I just fell in love with it, and I was like, I don't even really care what this book is about. All I need to know is it's by Ann Patchett and it's beautiful. So I picked it up, and I'm really glad I did because I had such a lovely time reading this book. This is such like just a simple, cozy, heartfelt story. We follow this family. It takes place during the spring of 2020, so during like COVID lockdown, which I'll be 100% honest, I've kind of avoided most media, like books, films, anything set during that time period. That was a bit of a surprise actually. I didn't know that going in, but I am glad that I didn't, because I don't know if I would have picked this up had I known that. And I found it honestly really delightful. We follow this family who live on a cherry tree farm, and they're all in lockdown together. It's his mom, dad, and their 3 daughters, and their 3 daughters are in their early 20s, and the mom and the daughters are like, you know, kind of doing their daily chores, picking cherries, and as they're doing that, she is telling them her story of being in her early 20s and wanting to be an actress and actually becoming an actress and having this affair with a man who ends up becoming this incredibly famous actor. And it sounds very dramatic. It's not a like particularly like salacious kind of book. It's very soft and gentle. At the core of this book is almost this like love letter to the play Our Town. So if you love the play Our Town like I did, especially when I was in high school, like we read it in high school, and I just remember it having such a huge impact on me and like just making me sob when we first read it. If you have ever felt like that about Our Town, I highly recommend picking this one up because that is a huge theme throughout the book. Yeah, it's a very quiet novel. I don't want to say Ghibli vibes because it's not, but you know that like the way that Ghibli like romanticizes the simplicity of the everyday, that is kind of the vibe that this has. And I also just like love the depiction of someone who is later in life talking about all the different kinds of, you know, paths that they had, and talking about it in this way that isn't like, oh, I failed at this thing. It's more like I did this for a bit and then I did this and I found joy in both. And I feel like that's so important because I don't know, I think sometimes we look at growing up or aging or, you know, changing life paths as like a failure, and in actuality it's just like you've lived so many different stories in one lifetime. Like you would be so lucky to have that many stories and like lives that you've lived. And I think that that's really beautiful, and that's what I really enjoyed about this book. It left me feeling very like bittersweet and wistful and like nostalgic all at the same time. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So Tom Lake, Ann Patchett. Didn't mean to make that a full review, but there you go. Speaking of full reviews though, this is me soft launching. I am relaunching my Patreon. Very excited to announce. And I'm going to be doing some videos on there that I don't really think maybe everyone on my YouTube channel wants to see. So I'm going to be doing like more individual reviews of books or games or films on there. I might do like very casual one-off vlogs, so will be some exclusive content, and yeah, lots of other things. I'm gonna do like a full video announcing it and talking about all of it, but sort of like for you guys, this is the early soft launch. I'll have it linked down below. There will be a few different tiers to pick from, and yeah, I'm excited. And especially if you're into like cozy gaming and stuff, we'll have some options there, some like streaming things. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to like have that sort of community again. So anyways, hope you'll check it out and join me over there. I think it'll be really fun. So the next book I picked up is Motion Sickness by Lynn Tillman, and I just thought this book was so beautiful. That was what drew me to it initially. Like, I just love this cover. I think it's so stunning, and it was all over the windows and Waterstones. So I was like, yes, I must have it. And when I read the synopsis, I was even more enamored. Basically, we follow this girl who is from America, but she's in Europe, and she's kind of just bouncing around from place to place. And the book is just sort of like these vignettes, so far at least, of various encounters that she has with people in her sort of nomadic lifestyle. And I love that. I kind of, honestly, when I was reading it, like, or when I picked it up, was like, I kind of relate to this, because you meet all sorts of different people when you're traveling, especially when you're traveling alone, and it is a very like kind of limbo state that you're living in. And yeah, I feel like this really, so far at least, captures that feeling, that sort of like dreaminess. I love the dreaminess in the writing. And this is a book that actually was originally published in the 80s, so I thought that was cool that they've like reprinted it in this cool edition. But one of the things that really drew me to it also was this quote from Jonathan Safran Foer, which says, Lynn Tillman has always been a hero of mine, not because I admire her writing, although I do very, very much, but because I feel it. Imagine driving alone at night. You turn on the radio and hear a song that seems to say it all. That's how I feel. And that's like one of my favorite feelings in the world, like when reading or listening to music, is that kind of like writing that just like makes you truly feel something. And I feel like just even starting this, I definitely get that vibe from it, so I'm really enjoying it so far. And then probably the next book on my TBR, I might actually read this while I'm reading Motion Sickness. And also, yes, I do get the Phoebe Bridgers song stuck in my head constantly every time I'm reading that. But the next book I'm hoping to read is Brandon Sanderson's Tress of the Emerald Sea, and I was really keen to get this edition in the UK because this is the UK exclusive edition, and I love these sort of the style that Brandon Sanderson's books have in the UK, this sort of like white and singular color design. I think it's just very cute. I love the ship on the back, and I definitely like it a lot more than the US edition, that's for sure. I don't really care for the US edition. What I know about this book is it was inspired by The Princess Bride. And that's all I need to know, because I love The Princess Bride, and especially the idea of Brandon Sanderson writing something in the style of The Princess Bride. Yeah, I'm excited also because I really love the way Brandon Sanderson writes women, which is very rare for me. I rarely say that about men. Like, I think about Warbreaker and those two princesses, and I just like, I loved them as characters. So I'm really excited to meet Tress and to see what adventures she gets up to. And yeah, I'm so excited to pick this one up. Then I had a few books that I picked up during a reading vlog that I posted. So if you haven't watched my London book shopping vlog, I'll have that linked at the end of the video. But I picked up a few books then. So first of all, at Gaze the Word, I picked up a psalm. Oh, you guys told me how to say that. I think you said psalm. A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. And this book is about a robot, which is part of this like group of robots who for many years had, you know, sort of laid down their tools and gone into the forest and evaporated. And they're sort of like this thing of lore and legend. And then this tea monk one day is approached by one of these robots, and the robot asks, what does humanity need? And from what I understand, this is like sort of an optimistic view of the future and just imagining of it. And honestly, I feel like we need more of that. Like, I fully understand the need for dystopian stories and explorations of like what it means if we continue down the path that we're currently on, but I also think we need examples of like what the future could be. and like hopefulness. So I'm excited for that, specifically with this book. I'd love to hear also if you guys have recommendations that might fit that bill. Please do let me know. But yeah, I'm excited for this one, and it'll be my first Becky Chambers book, which is kind of outrageous considering how much I love like cozy fantasy sci-fi kind of stories. So I'm excited to finally read this one. Then I got Pet, and this is a New Zealand novel, and in it we follow this girl. It follows two timelines actually. This girl when she's in elementary school, and she has this teacher who has like teachers' pets and picks her like favorite students based on basically how pretty the students are. And then we follow that same girl in the future when she's an adult, and from what I understand this is like kind of a thriller, and I'm so interested to see how that is. So because I don't really get that from the synopsis, but I do get it from the cover, which is, you know, a blood red ink and a pen. So I don't know, I'm just intrigued by this one, and I'm also just like interested in the synopsis in general, because that was such, I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger, like being the teacher's pet was like such a driving force, and I always like craved that type of attention, for better or for worse. And I'm so interested to like read a book that's exploring that dynamic, because it's kind of an insidious, or not insidious, but like it's an interesting dynamic at least. But yeah, and that's the cover if you want to see it up close. Then of course we all know I love Ann Patchett, so I picked up another Ann Patchett book, The Dutch House. And oh, I totally forgot to mention this. If you do audiobooks, the audiobook for Tom Lake is narrated by Meryl Streep. I highly recommend it. It's phenomenal. And I know that this one is narrated by Tom Hanks. I don't know what Ann Patchett does to get these narrators, but good job to her. Anyways, I'm very excited for this one. This one I believe was like nominated for the Pulitzer, and this one is supposed to have like fairy tale vibes or folk tale vibes, which I love. And the idea of Ann Patchett doing her take on like folktale fairy tale vibes, absolutely sold. I can't wait to read it. I just know it's going to be absolutely stunning. And then lastly, I picked up On Grief and Studio Ghibli, which is a tiny little collection of essays on exactly what the title says, Grief and Studio Ghibli, and kind of exploring or looking at various Studio Ghibli films and the way that they depict grief. For example, one of the chapter titles is Grief Has No Face, which I love. And then I know some of the movies that it's looking at, specifically Grave of the Fireflies, obviously, Kiki's Delivery Service, My Neighbor Totoro, that is a big one, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, Ponyo, Princess Mononoke, and Spirited Away. So I'm very excited to read this little tiny book. I just like, I was literally at the till and I was like, yes, I will take that Ghibli book because I need it, obviously. Hopefully it doesn't make me sob. And then my roommate's friend had a signing event, so we went to that, and I picked up their book, which is Reputation by Lex Croucher. And I honestly don't know a lot about this story, but I do get the vibe that it's Regency romance, but like kind of a fun spin on it. I believe it's very queer also, and the tagline on the back is Regency just got a little more rebellious, so I love that. Very fun. One of my favorite films is Austenland, and I just love stories that like play on the whole Regency era romance kind of trope. So I'm very intrigued to like read this spin on it, because yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite sort of subgenres within romance. Oh my gosh, this next book sounds so interesting. It is Time Shelter by Georgy Gospodinov, and this just won the International Booker Prize, so congratulations. Amazing. I don't know, I'm saying congratulations like the authors are watching this. Anyways, I was so intrigued by this one. Basically, it takes place in this building, and each floor of the building is a different decade, or like has been built to be a different decade. And it's like built originally as like a treatment facility, but then people start like just flocking to it for like nostalgia and different things. And then I believe the like morals of the different time periods start like colliding with each other. I don't know, I'm just so interested. I love, like, this isn't a closed room mystery, but I love stories that take place in something that is like closed off from the rest of the world. That's like kind of this microcosm. And so I'm really intrigued by that. And I just like love also the like the visual idea of like this huge building and every floor is a different decade. Like that just sounds so interesting. I just also really loved this blurb from the New Yorker, which says Gospodinov cunningly draws attention to the violence of the past wreaks on the present. I love that. I love books that explore that kind of like idea. So very intrigued by this one. And people, I like the reviews I've seen for it, just like referred to this as a very warm story, which I'm also excited about. I love anything that's like got those vibes. So hopefully I like it. Oh, this next one I've been wanting to read for so long and it's stunning. I'm so excited. It's Idol Burning by Rin Usami, and this is a Japanese novel, and it follows this girl who's in high school whose idol has basically transgressed in some way. I believe he's like punched someone in the face or something, like attacked someone, and she's like dedicated her entire life to this person, and then it's kind of like the fallout of that. And I'm definitely intrigued for this one. I kind of want to read, I might like do this as like a Patreon video because I don't know how well it'll do on YouTube, but I kind of want to do a video where I read this and also watch Tar, because it's kind of giving similar vibes, like I don't know, the whole problematic thing. And then I also have, oh my gosh, I got another book. I need to find it. One moment. But yeah, I got sent this book, Monsters, A Fan's Dilemma by Claire Dederer. And this cover is so cool. My friend Matthew read this and really loved it. And again, I'm just really intrigued by that whole idea of like, I don't know, for the past few years, I've been really interested about this whole idea of like art and fandom and like morals, and the way that we have over the past few years kind of attributed morals, like morality, to the art that you consume. So like if you consume art by someone who is deemed moral, then you too are moral and a good person. But if you consume art by someone who is deemed as bad, then you therefore are bad. I do find that really interesting, so I've been intrigued by that. There's this really great blurb on the back from Jenny Offel that says, an exhilarating, shape-shifting exploration of the perilous boundaries between art and life. This timely book inhabits both the marvelous and the monstrous with generosity and wit. And yeah, I just feel like when it comes to that kind of topic, the internet has just like really lacked a lot of nuance and like empathy for anybody, and so I'm really excited for this because I think that it will have a lot more of that. So I don't know, I'm intrigued for this one, and I'm excited to read these maybe back to back, maybe also watching Tar. I don't know if that's even a good plan. I don't know if these are going to have any sort of overlapping themes, but that's kind of the vibe I'm feeling, so we'll see. This next one I picked up because it was just stunning. So this is Neptune's Projects, and look at how beautiful this cover is. Like oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with it. It's so stunning. Anyways, picked this up purely because it was so beautiful, and it is a poetry novel that is from the perspective, or not novel, it's a book of poetry from the perspective of Neptune, the sea god, but like looking at sort of like looking at the climate crisis is the vibe. And I read a few of the pieces at the beginning and I really loved the writing, so I picked it up. And I'm excited to own it. I think it looks beautiful, it sounds beautiful. Hopefully I get along with it. We shall see. So I picked this one up because I was book shopping with my friend Joel, and they just sold me on it. It just sounded really lovely. And it's What You Are Looking For Is in the Library. And this is a Japanese translated novel, and it just sounds really cozy. In this book we follow this librarian who has this like uncanny ability to kind of just like sense what patrons are looking for and to help them find those things. So we get to meet this like various cast of characters and get like a little insight into each of their lives as she like helps them by, you know, giving them what they need from the library. And I just think that sounds so delightful, and I love libraries and I love books set in libraries, and I feel like Japanese fiction just like does that in this very lovely cozy way that I adore. So yeah, I'm excited for this one, and thank you Joel for recommending. Honestly, quite a few of these were because of Joel's recommendations. I totally forgot to mention this one earlier in the vlog book haul portion, but I also picked up Hamlet, which is a retelling of Hamlet from the perspective, or following, I believe, Hamlet's wife, but specifically about Hamlet's son who died and inspired the play Hamlet. And I've heard beautiful things about this one. I've just heard overwhelmingly lovely things about it. Is it optioned for a film? I feel like I might have made that up, but probably will be if it hasn't been yet. But yeah, I've been intrigued to read this for a while, and I've never read anything by Maggie O'Farrell, so this will be my first, and I'm very excited. And then lastly, I picked up some manga, and I'm so excited for all of these. And this first one I've been wanting to read for the past few years because I feel like it's just popped off a lot on TikTok over the past few years. I see a lot of like outfit inspo videos based on it, which I love, and that is Nana. And this is about two Japanese girls. One lives in, I believe they both live in Tokyo, but one is very like reserved and the other one's like this crazy party girl, and they're both named Nana, and this is like their lives intersecting. I believe that's what it's about. Hopefully that's correct. But yeah, my main sort of point of reference for this book is the fashion, which I love and I'm obsessed with everything that I've seen. So I'm really excited to actually read it and see what it's all about. I know it's very beloved. And then lastly, I've been wanting to read for so long Yona of the Dawn, so I got the first two of that series. So this one would follow Princess Yona, who has always lived this life of being this very doted on, beloved princess, and one day an attack happens on her kingdom and she has to flee for her life, and she flees with her guard Hawk, and she has to like figure out her way back, or her way like, yeah, I believe to take her throne. That's what I'm assuming. But yeah, I love it. Also, she's like already in love with a man, but I'm pretty sure the real love interest is Hawk, if I were to guess. Also, I have no idea if I'm saying that correctly. I'm sure someone will let me know. And yeah, that has been my book haul from London. I'm so excited for all these books. I would love to hear from you guys if you've read any of these, what your thoughts are on them. Please let me know in the comments down below. I'll also have my Patreon and my Instagram and all that stuff linked down below if you want to find me there. And I'm trying to be better. You all yell at me for not linking like what I'm wearing and stuff in videos, so I'm gonna also have all of that linked down below in case you want any of that information. As much as I can. A lot of my stuff is not new, but this is new. This shirt is new. I love it. It's very cute. American Eagle. 10 out of 10 would recommend. But anyways, I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you all next time. Bye!